Hello again. When Kemi Badenoch became leader of the Conservative Party on Saturday, I saw nothing at all in newspapers to the effect that her real name is Olukemi Olufonto Adegoke. Nor did anybody see fit to mention that she holds a Nigerian passport in addition to a British one. Why should anybody say such things? Let's face it, we live in a society where people are always changing their names and acquiring additional passports for some reason or other. We would raise our eyebrows if we read in the newspapers about Cliff Richard that his real name was Harry Webb, and then mention was made of the fact that he was also entitled to an Indian passport by virtue of having been born in that country. Pop singers and film actors often change their names without anybody caring, and many of them are also entitled to different passports from those of the country in which they currently live. This kind of thing is common too in politics. Former Chancellor of the Exchequer George Osborne wasn't born with the name George. He was called Gideon. As a teenager, he decided he would rather be called by a less unusual Christian name, and so started calling himself George instead. Since he is a Jew, I suspect that he wished to ditch a name which hinted at this ethnic origin, in the way that some people change their surnames from Cohen to Khan, or Kane, or Bernstein to Burns, and so on. If I read in a newspaper, George Osborne, real name Gideon, I would at once suspect that there was an ulterior and perhaps anti-Semitic motive for saying this. At the very least, it would look strange. So it is with the new leader of the Conservative Party. She was certainly born Olukemi Olufonto Adegoke, and now calls herself Kemi Badenoch because she married a man called Badenoch. All this kind of thing is part of our common cultural heritage. We just take it all for granted. There is, though, one exception to this convention, and that is the case of Tommy Robinson. Every time we read his name, it is followed by words to the effect that his real name is Stephen Yaxley-Lennon. Often there is mention too of the fact that he sometimes travels using an Irish passport. This is all very odd. Why is it that alone of all other public figures, attention is deliberately and regularly drawn in this way to his former name? I suspect that if I were to write a piece about Kemi Badenoch and say that her real name was Olukemi Olufonto Adegoke, it would be interpreted as a slight motivated by racism. Why do people always do this, though, with Tommy Robinson? And what about the passport business? Kemi Badenoch represents herself as British. Would it matter to anybody that she also has a Nigerian passport? Why does it matter to people that Tommy Robinson has an Irish one? The only possible answer which I'm able to come up with is that this is connected with the fact that Tommy Robinson is an English nationalist, and that attempts are being made to delegitimise his claim to being English. I wonder if those playing this game realise how dreadful it makes them look, and that if they tried that game on a black politician like Kemi Badenoch, it would be instantly condemned. That it is tolerated and encouraged in the case of an English nationalist is, to my mind, rather significant.